Sharing screen and
The NAACP, Pastor Dr. Neighbors, we're not going to chance to chat.
And we are live here on the Media Connection TV show. I'm Naima Latif. Woo. All right. And I'm here with our photojournalist correspondent for CCN News Media, Marcus Robinson. And we've got with us Wallace Red, live from Memphis, in the Love Power Show on our live line. And all of us who have been watching the inauguration, we probably have some thoughts. And of course, if you'd like to join our conversation, you can call us at 312-849-FILM. That's 312-849-3456, the Media Connection. I certainly look forward to hearing your thoughts. I'm Naima Latif, executive producer. And of course, as always, we appreciate all of you who are joining us live on the Female Solution. I'm sorry, been doing that show all day. Live on the Media Connection. And our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel. So first of all, well, I'm gonna come to you first, Wallace, since you are on our live line here, and you're down there in Memphis, where I know we've got a whole lot of probably Trump supporters. But what are your thoughts as you looked at some of the or heard some of the statements that were made by Joe Biden? I think we might have lost Wallace. Well, I'll go ahead with you, Marcus. One of the things that struck me, of course, this was definitely a time of first, as they say. But what did you observe, and what did it make you expect that we're going to see from this administration?
Well, out of all the presidents, Joe Biden's tone of voice was sort of kind of weak to me, but he did speak about white supremacist groups. He briefly spoke about that he was against that. And he wants to unite America like Lincoln did after what happened. I will say this. After observing it, the circus is over. The curtain has come down on the Trump administration. We went through 4 years of civil unrest in the streets of many cities here in America. And we had some riots during Obama, but we had some real riots during the Trump administration. The media, Trump, I hope Joe Biden's media staff, I'm quite sure, will be much more intelligent and won't be a reality TV show. So,
yes. Yeah, I tend to agree. I think at least we're going to see some serious governing and not the reality TV show that we've had for the last 4 years. We've got Wallace Red back on our live line. So Wallace, we're here with One of our news reporters, Mark Robinson, who's been out active in the streets all year long, covering all the riots and protests, and he one of the things he noticed is that Joe Biden did make reference to that white supremacist group and the actions that they got the nation all involved and upset with. What are your thoughts? What stuck out in your mind as you listened to his speech?
Well, he also mentioned, like you said, the riot in the Capitol. And he said, he made the statement that you can't tell me if it had been Black Lives Matter, they would have been treated differently. You couldn't tell him that. He also made that statement. So he's saying some good words. The question is, will those words translate into reality? And of course, he's got the Republicans who it appears that they're going to be railing and knocking against him from the very beginning, from going from back and forth to Fox News and listening to what they had to say. But I was surprised to hear Karl Rove say it was a good speech and a speech for the times. But he's got to go up against, they're only 50-50 with Kamala Harris breaking the tie. So that's an advantage. But you still have Josh Hawley, Tom Cruise, even Mitch McConnell, who seems to be trying to change the tone and tone now. But you never know how these words are going to translate and how hard they're going to work against Joe Biden. He's a very likable guy, in terms of whiteness, I might add. And will he be able to do all these things? Will he be able to get the rest of the money to the American people, which, there's another $1,400, those are still crumbs. And I think Ice Cube had sent a letter. He was talking to Trump, and I'd like to hear more from Ice Cube. We're going to try to get him on the Love Power show. I forget what he calls the name of this program, but he was asking for $500, I believe, billion for the Black communities. And I think we should approach, I'm extending my words, we should approach Biden, which we will be doing. This time I plan to be consistent when I send this letter in, or when we send this letter in to Biden about what we need to do in the community. And another question becomes, how can he help the local community, especially here in Memphis? Because here in Memphis, we've got three blocking entities: the mayor, the district attorney, and Steve Cohen, the most dangerous man of Memphians, and Congress, the 9th Congressional District. So those are just some things stand out to me when I hear the speech and pay attention to these politics.
Well, I think it's interesting as well. We look at the whole situation with the possible tie-breaking vote being Kamala Harris, but then if anybody jumps ship in the Democratic Party, then that advantage is blown. So, we don't always know if everybody's going to be true to the party on every issue. But I do think it did visually. I like what they did with the images. Of course, we got the young Black female poet laureate who said her piece. And so I think all of and then of course they had the first Latina Supreme Court justice administering the oath to Kamala. So they did a lot of symbolism in terms of it looking like we're going to have a more equal society, and it looking like there's going to be an absence of racism. But again, policy wise, I mean, Marcus, what do you think we can expect in terms of maybe a different attitude toward police? Because you've been out there and seen some police be pretty brutal over these last couple of years. What do you think?
The question is the president going to enact the Justice Department, the DOJ, to do its job, to come down aggressively and to acknowledge that we have a group that's in the police department that's for white supremacists and is using their police powers to exercise their brutality on black people. America still has to admit that, because even when Obama got inaugurated, everything seemed like America was changing. And the black community, as you know, Naima, if you ask the average black person in the ghetto, they would tell you Obama didn't do nothing for them. Um,
I've heard.
and I'll go back to Clinton. Clinton had a circus, he had a parade when he got inaugurated. He had all the black stars to come to the White House, all the jazz stars. And what happened? The war on drugs, which was Reagan's thing, of course, but Clinton did the crackdown, pulling black fathers out of their households, and really a lot of black people didn't like him. It's one thing to watch the inauguration and you see it on the surface, but it's another thing what's going to happen now. What is going to happen now? And as far as stimulus, there is one Democrat, I can't pronounce his name, that's not going to be for it. He's not going to be for the $1,400. So they're going to have to get some Republicans on their side to make that happen as well.
I seen that guy. I know who you're talking about.
I can't pronounce his name. It sounds with I'm not going to try it on live, but it sounds with it's an S.
So what's his name? Wallace, what's his name?
I can't think of his name right now either. I'll call into his name.
I think it's Shama or something, but.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that one of the things that we're going to see probably with this administration is a lot of appointments in other communities. They do seem to be very committed to that. They do seem to, at least now. The question is there going to be a change in the money flow? Are we going to see more contracts? Are we going to see more business being funneled to the business people that are not traditionally the ones that always get government contracts? Or are we going to see more development money sent to the inner city areas? Are we going to see a change in the policy when it comes to the payment of workers who've had to constantly strike, like teachers and so forth? So a lot of the financial infrastructure that has been a problem, you know, I'm wondering, are we going to see a change? And are our elected officials ready with some legislation that can actually make some change? Wallace, who's your representative? Who's your congressional representative from there in Memphis?
Steve Cohen.
Okay. Are you pleased with his representation? What do you think of him?
Yeah, that's an interesting history there too. There are those of us who are not pleased with the guy, and the reason is that when you look at the black community, much of it looks like a war zone, and we know that he has brought money into the city and sent it away from the black community, and that's why we need a better representation of the Steve Cohen. Not pleased.
Not pleased. So I don't know, Marcus, what do you think about our congressional representatives? We've got some old timers and a few new ones. We do have Danny Davis and Bobby Rush, who's been in forever, literally since the 60s. And you know, I love them, wonderful men. But I'm hoping that we can see at some point them preparing someone else as they think about retirement, if they feel like energetically they may need to move toward retirement. But I would like to see, rather than us have a battle, I'd like to see someone being prepared for that role. But what do you think, Marcus? What are you observing here? What happens here in Illinois?
Well, I mean, Chicago has a black mayor. We have more black people in power than ever, but I don't see a change in our neighborhoods. I have not seen a change in our neighborhoods, honestly, since Harold Washington. I mean, you got carjackings here that's gone out of control, and it doesn't seem like nothing is being done. You have black people who want to defund the police. You have people who want the police out of schools, but yet I feel that the police need to be funded. They need to be in schools, even though you have some that are racist. But these black politicians up here haven't done anything. Lori Lightfoot reneged on her promise to abolish this how they was ticketing black people. Now it's back to ticketing you if you go over 6 miles. I haven't seen anything change, even with Bobby Rush and Danny Davis, and they're good people off the camera. I mean, but honestly, I haven't seen nothing that they have done to help the community, but just be there as a black face. We need more than just black faces in Illinois. We have a black Speaker of the House that just replaced Mike Madigan. But how's that going to affect the black community? Sure, it will inspire some black kid in school, but we're talking about now. Even if they did something nationally, would it trickle down? Would it come as fast as what Trump did as far as stimulus checks? Would it come to the people that's really hurting? Not the big businesses, not the colleges and universities, because that's not going to put food on the table right now. Will it help the ones who are out here struggling, doing whatever to make it? You have a lot of people out here that's struggling. They wear many hats, as well as I wear many hats. And we're out here struggling because of the situation that we're in. Locally, something has to be done. Then we will see the effects of it nationally. That's the best way I can put it.
I think that's true. I think that's definitely, we have to do some things locally. We definitely have to have a game plan. I think we tend to put people in office and then just wait for them to do something. And instead of us having ideas of legislation that should be proposed, because really it's the citizens that decide what laws they want. And we have not been aware that this is how politics works. And so we put people in office and then we sit back and wait for everything to change. And we don't realize you have to change some laws or change some policies or change some people in order for things to change. So
yeah, how is it in the city that you have black people that's in office and they just black people, how should I put this? They're no different than a white person wearing a black face because their policies are hurting their own people. I mean, when the mayor shut down the parks, she didn't shut down the parks where all the white people, I don't want to sound racist, but I'm being real, where all the white people were up north enjoying themselves and all the south side parks were closed down. It wasn't black people that was going to the lakefront. Black people were staying at home. It was white people who were going to the lakefront and breaking down the barricades, going into Millennium Park. But she made the South Side suffer. Even during the riots, she allowed the South Side to go up, but protected the North Side. Black businesses burned out here. Black people were suffering. But the real cause of the riot was that our government as a whole failed to deal with police brutality, failed to acknowledge that the domestic terrorism that attacked the Capitol had been around for a long time. And it took an attack on the Capitol to get this current president to finally say something. He's the first that said it. Obama was our first black president. He didn't really say nothing against white supremacists, but Joe Biden said it, and that might be his meal ticket to a second term. But saying it and not doing nothing about it, it's a different story too.
But that's going to be interesting also. And we invite you all who are watching to give us a call on our live line, 312-849-FILM. That's 312-849-3456. You can call us on our live line and we'll put you on live. We're on the Media Connection TV show, taking a look at the inauguration of the 46th President Joe Biden, and of course his Vice President, Kamala Harris. And we're going to see if what they said actually manifests in some different policies. Now, she also did mention the racial injustice element and people trying to take over our democracy and we defeated them. So she mentioned it because I didn't know if anybody was going to actually mention what happened. I didn't know if they were going to be all nice and act like it didn't happen. and just give a nice little speech. But everybody did, both of them did address it. So I was glad of that. And I was glad that they did reiterate, we're not going to have that. Yeah, I, in a sense, like you say, Joe Biden's speech was maybe a little, well, I mean, it reflected him. He's not a fire and brimstone kind of person. He's kind of laid back. His speech is sort of predictable in a sense. I mean, you say the things you know you need to say, and you use the words you need to use.
But then again, I imagine it was cold out there, you know, too. And then sometimes the quiet ones are the great ones. The less they say and the more action they display. Now, they can speak on white supremacy, but I will say it and I'll say it live, just like I said it before. If you have white cops patrolling black communities and they don't like black people, get them out of our communities.
Yeah.
White supremacist groups, domestic terrorism, if you're going to deal with overseas terrorism aggressively, America needs to deal with them aggressively. They know that they have a problem because it ain't the overseas terrorists that's going to bring this country, that's going to sink this ship. It's the ones that's within the walls of this country in their ignorance. And they're being misled. Just a group of poor white people who are blaming everybody else for their misfortunes. And we're all struggling. And the real culprit are the rich people who keep us divided. Now, until they deal with this domestic terrorism, we're going to always have this domestic terrorism. Even on Joe Biden's watch, there will wrongfully be some more black people murdered by the police until they crack down on them nationally and quit giving them slaps on the wrist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, harshly. I mean, real harshly. Like, if we kill a cop, we go to jail for the rest of our life, or we get the death penalty. If a cop wrongfully kills somebody, they should get life in prison or whatever that state law requires. If it's the death penalty, they wrongfully killed somebody. They killed somebody because of the color of their skin, not because they was a threat to them. But they can't do nothing about these kids carjacking people out here. And they're deliberately doing that mess because they want to make these black politicians that's in office up here look bad. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion on that one too.
Well, I think we're going to have more, I guess, community responsibility for the young people that are doing these carjackings. They're somebody's parents. I mean, somebody's children. Their parents are somewhere. If the parents are dysfunctional, neighbors, relatives, somebody. Because I mean, these carjackers are getting younger and younger and younger. And there's a desperation. I can understand that, but there has to be. I'm sure there are some people, and of course, in a future show, we'll have maybe some of these people who are doing a lot of the work. Maybe have T.O. Hardeman on who did it with the violence interrupters and people who have their ear to the ground to find out what is triggering this sudden desperation where people are willing to risk their lives to steal a car and willing to kill somebody to steal a car. It just seems like it's escalated. I don't know if it's because of the financial stress that's happening, but I think we as a community have to take more responsibility. So Wallace, one of the things we've been looking at is how difficult or how forcefully was this whole white supremacist movement addressed by the new president and vice president. So we're going to, thus
far, again, they said some good words. I don't think they've had enough time to face to go up against the challenges that they will face from the Republicans. And I will say this about the Democrats. You have to be careful with the Democrats because, as you said, Naima, they will jump ship on each other.
Yeah, and once that happens, our majority is gone. So we've been joined on our live line by Brother Kofi James. Thank you for joining us on the Media Connection. We got about 4 more minutes before we wrap up. So, Kofi, did you watch the inauguration, and what are your thoughts? Do you feel like we're getting ready to go into a new era, or should we not expect much? What are your thoughts based on what you heard and saw? Kofi James, you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's about immigrant control. Democrats, they get the foreign investments, and it's really all about the South. It's about the Southern control. This is what it's all about. The Republican Party represents the Republic. The Democratic Party represents the United States of America. Those are two different corporations. A lot of people don't really maybe understand that. You can kind of Google that. And so we're talking about two different control factors where you have the Democrats using foreign investments. So they're going to bring a lot of immigrants. You're going to start hearing about a lot of immigrants, opportunities. And this is the chance to take over the Democratic cities. This is when black folks are going to be starting getting evicted and getting moving out. See, y'all know what people are doing. I know exactly what they're doing. And so they're going to use this pandemic, and they're going to start evicting black folks. Black folks leaving California, like 40 going north.
Really?
They're going to take over New York, Philadelphia, Chicago. They're going to implant now. We know that this is what they've been trying to do. Now they have access, but the problem, they have the Congress control, the Senate control, and everything. So they hear day by day these executive orders to give immigrants rights, give them immunity in America, and then you're going to have a lot of immigrants as your neighbor. You don't realize we're all black and black. They're gonna really be That's the hard side, but the big side is black folks are gonna be pinned to the wall, and they're gonna have to say, you know what? We don't have to start working together. We're gonna have to go buy this building together. We're gonna have to put our money together. We're gonna have to do all those things that we've been talking about because these immigrants are moving in like 41 north. So it's gonna be a good thing. It's gonna be really interesting to see. I'm really excited about this year because I feel like a lot of my business partners will call me for a little bit more now. You know what I mean? What you got going, brother? Like, we're talking to each other a little bit more now.
You got to. Well, yeah, I think that's true. I think we definitely going to have to develop more enterprises. But now, Wallace, what do you think about what Kofi said in terms of the whole move toward, I guess, immigrant labor? Because many of the Democrats may have either enterprises that are run by that immigrant labor, or because there's always an underlying financial issue. So Wallace, what are your thoughts on our responsibility to create more enterprises that could change the economy and even the politics of the nation? What are your thoughts? We got about a minute left before we go.
I think as a group, we're going to have to learn how to compete, therefore becoming more competitive. Because the immigrants coming in, that includes the Africans, Ethiopians, and all those other guys who are on these corner stores. They care nothing to black people. They care nothing for black people. So as a group, black people are going to have to learn how to compete and come together in terms of committees or groups. And my suspicion is that many black people will not join for a better, to make things better for the black community. So yeah, we're facing some challenges even with the Democrats when they jump on each other. Like, I'm going to get that guy's name and call you back with that guy's name at some point, Naima. But yeah, we definitely have to become competitive, and we have to join together a group of those who will join with us. But this is nothing new. This thing will get scarier and scarier if we don't do for self. Now, many of our forerunners have laid out plans for black people. We just have not carried them out. And someone said the words of Dr. King many years ago apply today. And that's true of many of our leaders who come before us. Many of the things and plans that they laid out are applicable today. They're relevant today, Naeem.
Absolutely. That is true. That's true.
Yes.
Well, now that we have a new administration, we've got no excuse. And so we can't keep blaming Donald Trump. And now we've got to, as both of you all have said, all of you all have said, we got to get up off our rear ends and use the opportunities that we have. So we've got to go. I want to thank all of y'all. Thank you, Koopy, for joining us on our live line. And thank you, of course, Wallace Red down in Memphis with the Love Power Show. And what is the day and time that people can hear you, Wallace?
Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Give us a call, 901-452-9034.
All right. Thank you so much. And we'll be listening in. And about 10 seconds of last remarks. Marcus, what do you think we need to do first? What's our first order of business? We want to see a change.
Well, Black people need to support their businesses. They need to support they need to use what they have in their community, because the Democrats, they are pretty much for the immigrants. We've seen that in the past. And we gotta amp up our game. That's what we gotta do. We gotta just keep supporting our people, our restaurants, our barbershops, our churches, our media. Keep the money in the community and demand that the same people that look like us are the ones fixing our streets, are working for our gas companies and electrical companies in our neighborhood. We come first in our neighborhood, just like they would in theirs.
All right, there you go. All right, well, thank you so much, Marcus Robinson of CCN News Media, and you'll see him out in the streets handling those crowds of protesters and being in the thick of things, because he's a serious photojournalist out there in the streets where it's happening. And we'll be keeping you all informed every Wednesday at 12 noon. We're going to come to you live with the Media Connection TV show. I'm Naima Latif, executive producer. And until next week, keep on watching and keep making things happen. See you then.
Peace out.
Peace out.